Good afternoon. My name is Justin Dean. I am a graduate student at South College. I'm currently in the Role Development and Leadership class, pursuing my family nurse practitioner degree. Today I'm going to talk about the CliftonStrengths Leadership Analysis. As a healthcare professional, understanding leadership strength is essential for effective patient care and team collaboration. This presentation will review my top strengths, domains, leadership impact, areas for growth, and strategies for improvement. So we first have to talk about what is the CliftonStrengths Assessment identifying tool. The CliftonStrengths Assessment identifies natural talents and emphasizes developing strengths rather than focusing solely on weaknesses, according to Gallup in 2024. So what are my top 5 strengths? The top 5 strengths that I have are the maximizer number 1, strategic number 2, context number 3, analytical number 4, and positivity number 5. These are in order based on my results. So let's take a little bit deeper of a dive into each one of these strengths. Starting with number 1, the maximizer. The maximizer reflects a desire to focus on excellence rather than settling for average performance or focusing on their weaknesses. I totally 100% agree with this. Strategic thinking allows individuals to evaluate situations quickly and identify possible pathways toward a desired outcome. Context involves understanding the past in order to better navigate the present or future. Individuals with this strength value history and information and often seek to understand why systems or policies were developed in the first place. Analytical thinking emphasizes the importance of data and evidence when evaluating problems. Again, those two, in my opinion, kind of tie in together. The final strength, positivity, reflects the ability to maintain and encourage and also be optimistic even during challenging situations with your team. So what do we get when we combine these strengths? What is the ultimate outcome, or domain as Gallup likes to call it? So for my top 5 strengths, it winds up being strategic thinking and influencing. So why is it important to know how these strengths builds, your domains, and everything come together, you might ask? Research done by Jimenez Carques and their group has shown that leadership behaviors play an important role in determining whether nurses and staff remain engaged in their work environments or consider leaving their positions. That research was done in 2025. So I keep mentioning leadership in this presentation, so let's cover exactly how does this impact leadership. These strengths align with evidence-based leadership practices where critical thinking and emotional influence improve both patient outcomes and team efficiency. Research examining leadership principles derived from military experiences also suggests that strong leadership accountability can influence individual motivations to pursue leadership roles in healthcare. That was done by Danford et al. In 2024. So the leadership impact, just to elaborate on this a little more, improves team performance is the maximizer, enhancing decision making. That comes from that strategic and analytic, and also the context a little bit too. Prevention of errors using past insight, that's where the context comes in very, very strong. And also throughout all of this, you have to be increasing team engagement and having a positive attitude no matter what's coming. So, of course, you can't talk about strengths without talking about weaknesses. As the old saying says, you're only as strong as your weakest link, hence the image of a chain here. So what are my bottom 5 strengths? It actually says intellection, adaptability, includer, empathy, and deliberative. The only one that I'm having a hard time with on this one, admitting it was a bottom 5 strength for me, would be the adaptability. I currently work as a travel nurse, a realtor, and a bunch of other jobs where I have to be very fast to adapt to different situations and different environments. And coming from the EMT, paramedic, and combat medic background, I had to adapt on the fly there too. The rest of these, I really do think that those would be my bottom 5 strengths. The adaptability is the one that I'm somewhat struggling to believe in. So of course, just like with the top 5 strengths, the bottom 5 weaknesses, you have your domains. So what is the weakness or the breaks in the dam, if you will? So relationship building is the lowest one I have, and then executing would be secondary to lowest. So with the relationship building, many people with the strengths that I have and the weaknesses that I have, they have no problem forming relationships. It's just building upon those relationships for lasting. Then on the executing, with the positivity and the analytics, coming up with a game plan is definitely a big strength in my leadership style, and I've noticed this even in my own everyday life. Executing is the area where I'm not as strong in. Not meaning that I don't necessarily execute or people with my weaknesses don't execute at all. It's just they're more of the strategic, come up with the game plan, implement the start of it, and then someone else comes in to finish it and executes it. That's more of how these upper domains and bottom domains kind of play in together. So I kind of hinted on this a little bit already, the critical analysis of weaknesses. The limited emotional responsiveness, or empathy as it's called, is definitely one that I would 100% agree with. It's very hard for me at times to be empathetic towards people because I am so analytical about what is going on. The difficulty adapting quickly, again, I already kind of mentioned. Adaptability is one that I don't necessarily agree with on this, but I've been looking into it a little more, and I don't technically think I have a weakness here, but it's something that I'm going to build upon nonetheless. And then risk aversion or overthinking, deliberative. So this goes back to the systematic and analytic. When you're getting all the systems and analytics together, you can sometimes get what's called analysis paralysis. This was first talked about in Gallup when I was doing this, and I actually seen it in a couple other articles where they talk about analysis paralysis, where you essentially are getting all the research, getting all the data, coming up with a plan, but you never execute on said plan. You just get stuck in that planning phase. And then less focus on inclusion. So weaknesses, you're not necessarily worried about including everyone. You're more so worried about including the key members to get the job done. Research shows that emotional intelligence and collaboration significantly improve leadership effectiveness, according to Goldman in 2020. So with that in mind, what are some of the strategies for improvement that I can implement? Developing emotional intelligence is obviously a big one that I need to do, because I will be the first to admit that I do have a sense of lacking in the empathy department at times. Practice active listening as well. This is something I can participate more. This is more of an action rather than a thinking strategy here. Seek team feedback. One thing that I have been doing in my actual work life at this point, due to this leadership class, is anytime we've had a rapid response, a code blue, or any event, I've been doing debriefings at the end of it to try to get team feedback. So I actually feel that I have grown quite a bit by implementing this one already. And then, of course, collaborate with strong relationship builders and use strengths to compensate. So by using the strengths that I have, I can find key people that complement my strengths, and basically my weaknesses are their strengths. And by doing this, it creates a strong foundation for the team that I would be a part of. So, leadership application. Leadership application apply both strengths and growth strategies, allow for a more balanced and adaptable leadership style, especially in the healthcare setting. So to do this, combine the logic with the empathy, encourage inclusive teamwork, maintain positivity under pressure, and continue lifelong learning, which I'm actively doing now at South College. In conclusion, my CliftonStrengths profile highlights my ability to think strategically and drive excellence. However, improving emotional intelligence and adaptability will strengthen my leadership effectiveness greatly. Moving forward, I will intentionally apply my strengths while developing weaker areas to become a more well-rounded leader. So this slide is just a disclosure saying that I used OpenAI, the CliftonStrengths 34 assessment tool, and the top 5 leadership strengths from said tool. This is to fall in the accordance and upheld the academic integrity put forth by South College. The next 2 slides here are just the references that I used throughout this presentation. At this time, I would like to thank you for being a part of this presentation. I wish each and every one of you the best of luck moving forward with the leadership positions that you are going into. Thank you and have a blessed day.